The knocking. Have you ever felt ashamed of something you're supposed to be proud of? Well, that's how I felt when I looked into the periscope and saw the smouldering wreckage of the merchant marine ship we struck go down and her crewmen floundering in the waters. Around me, my crewmen were cheering at another successful hit, and the captain allowed a few good words to the officers. But I felt nothing but remorse. It was true they were my enemies, and this was war. But that didn't mean I felt enjoyment after seeing those poor bastards finally sink beneath the waves after struggling to stay afloat for so long. We didn't stay long to enjoy our victory, however. After a few moments, our submarine dove beneath the waves as we knew by nightfall the area would be swarming with destroyers trying to hunt us down. But even as we began to dive, the cheers from the crewmen turned into silence, and then the first knock came on the hatch. Everyone in the control center stopped what they were doing to hear it better. Then they continued, assuming it was nothing. But the knock came again a minute later. I looked to the captain and he shrugged and made up an excuse to hide the obvious. But when the knock came again, he ordered us to ignore it. But we couldn't. The knocking became more persistent with each passing hour. I asked the captain if we could surface for just a moment to check what was wrong with the hatch, but he refused. It's nothing, he muttered to me in a dismissive tone. If there's any chance some poor bastard grabbed onto the hatch before we dove, then he will be drowned any second now. But he didn't. In fact, as the days dragged into weeks, the knocking came harder and faster every hour, every minute, and every second of the day. It could be heard echoing throughout the iron hull. Whenever we worked, and especially whenever we tried to sleep, we found no comfort. I tried to persuade the captain to resurface for just a moment, but he threatened to have me demoted on the spot for even suggesting the idea. Above us, the enemy fleet was patrolling the waters and looking for the slightest fuck-up we made to send us to hell with a mine. We effectively became prisoners in our own submarine, and it began taking its toll over time. We began fighting with each other over the slightest infractions. Our eyes became red from spending days without rest, and our appetite diminished rapidly. Even the captain was not immune to these effects, as he locked himself in his cabin and slammed his head into the wall until he became unconscious enough to rest. In his absence, one of the crewmen, a petty officer named Eric, went into a daze, reached for the hatch, and began turning it, all the while screaming. It needs a sacrifice. It needs sacrifice so it can shut up. It took me and 3 other men to hold him back, while the knocking became louder and louder still, until finally the captain emerged from his cabin, pressed the barrel of his pistol to Eric's head, and pulled the trigger. After I wiped the warm blood from my face, I opened my mouth to speak, but I was amazed to hear nothing. Nothing at all. After 30 days and 30 nights. The knocking finally stopped. We surfaced at port not long after. The captain left the submarine in handcuffs, and I was promoted to take his place. My first order as captain was to send the crew away. After they left, I closed the hatch behind me and stopped dead in my tracks when I finally saw it. Thereupon the rim was a withered and severed hand gripped to the rim.